disruptive.
Weird thing to happen. So I'm sure many people are familiar with this story. The infamous hoagie hustler. The man who pelted down a National Guardsman with a Subway sandwich and then fled the case, interrupting their service. I can't even say the headline without laughing hysterically at how idiotic this all sounds. And as we said before, when covering this particular story, the whole thing just seems like idiotic uproar that, you know, you had people chiming in. Here's Pam Bondi, for example, the Attorney General, you know, announcing that there was going to be serious consequences, announcing this guy was part of the deep state. Yes, you got to look after those people, those deep state insiders with their giant subs. I didn't realize Subway was a government institution. So to reiterate, Pam Bondi says, if you touch any law enforcement officer, we will come after you. I just learned that this defendant worked at the Department of Justice. No longer. Not only is he fired, but he's been charged with a felony for throwing a sandwich. Just to let you know. This is an example of the deep state we have been up against for 7 months, and we work to refocus the DOJ. You will not work in this administration while disrespecting our government and law enforcement. Again, I can't help but just laugh in hystericalness on how idiotic this all sounds. These are people, these are military personnel dressed up in riot gear. They have full-on tactical gear. They have the bulletproof vests and everything. And they're getting freaked out because obviously some drunk buffoon threw a sandwich at them. A sandwich. A loaf of bread with cold cut in between it. My God, can you not think of a more deadly weapon to go against the National Guard than a cold, slimy sandwich from Subway? Apparently, Pam Bondi thinks that. And here's FBI Director Kash Patel also chiming in on this, saying the FBI arrested this individual last night. He has been charged with a felony assault on a federal officer. And just to show people the hystericalness of this, here's a little video proof of it, of the supposed felony assault on a National Guardsman who has bulletproof gear, has all the tactical equipment, all the riot gear, all dressed to the nines. And here is this guy who looks like he just left a Jimmy Buffett concert, throwing a sandwich at him, and they want to charge him with a felonious assault and up to 8 years of prison. This is what happened. Look at this. I can't take this seriously. I can't take this seriously. Up yours, man. Come on. Come on. This might be the most hilarious thing to come out of Washington, D.C. Look at Oh, you can't write comedy better than that. Come on. That is absolutely hilarious. But apparently, you can't indict a ham sandwich, as the saying goes, because now the news came out, this is from NBC News, saying the man that threw a sandwich at a federal officer in D.C. is charged with a misdemeanor assault. So it went from a felony that they want to prosecute him for 8 years. 8 years for throwing a sandwich at a man in full tactical riot gear. And now it's dropped to a simple misdemeanor charge. So turns out you can't indict a ham sandwich. According to top federal agents. So federal prosecutors initially sought to secure felony charges against the man dubbed Sandwich Guy, but a grand jury declined to return to the indictment. So it goes on to say U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro's office on Thursday charged a man accused of throwing a sandwich at a Customs and Border Protection agent in Washington, D.C. this month with a misdemeanor assault, issuing the charge one day after it failed to persuade a grand jury to return to a felony indictment. Sean Dunn, who Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed was a Justice Department employee at the time of the incident, was seen in a now viral video throwing a salami sub at the immigration agent days after President Donald Trump directed an increased federal law enforcement presence in D.C. Trump framed the move as an effort to address crime in the city, despite data suggesting criminal activity was already trending downward. Now, in his defense of Donald Trump, he's also cracking down the homeless. You know, we got to evict the people that are already evicted. That's the mentality of the Trump administration. Hey, we got to crowd Washington, D.C., get these roving thugs into the streets, pour them in, crash down on people, break out these homeless encampments, and evict them from being evicted. Which just sounds like absolute lunacy. How can you evict someone that's already evicted? That's kind of why they're homeless. Whereas we could actually take that money, all the extra money that you made from Doge. Remember all that? Remember all the money that they were supposed to be getting and generating? Why aren't we putting that into, I don't know, housing the homeless? And actually getting them back on their feet so they can actually regain back functionality into society. Why are we not doing that? Oh, that's right. We need the homeless. We need the homeless to scare the shit out of the middle-class Americans to keep them complicit. To say, if you step out of line, if you throw a salami sandwich, thank God it wasn't churro. If you throw a salami sandwich at a federal officer, you could end up on the streets like that guy. As for throwing him to a different park. Prosecutors allege in a criminal complaint that Dunn, 37, confronted federal agents stationed outside a popular nightlife area. F you effing fascist. Why are you here? I don't want you in my city. Dunn yelled at officers before he threw a sandwich and struck a Customs and Border Protection agent in the chest, prosecutors said. Dunn tried to run away, but was arrested by officers on the scene. The complaint was indicated. The incident took place August 10th in the heart of D.C.'s U Street corridor, a neighborhood that played a historic role in the civil rights era, is now a nightlife hotspot. Wow. Talk about gentrification and changing the neighborhood. Wow. A Justice Department employee told NBC News that Dunn, at the time, worked in the International Affairs section of the Criminal Division at the Justice Department. After the incident, Bondi said Dunn was promptly fired from the department, later writing a statement, "You will not work in this administration while disrespecting our government and law enforcement." Some D.C. residents herald Dunn, raising video of the incident as a symbol of resistance to Trump and his deployment of thousands of federal law enforcement personnel to the city. Bansky-inspired illustrations of a man throwing a sub have begun to pop up on the walls throughout D.C., Washington magazine reported. Federal prosecutors initially, look at this, federal prosecutors initially sought to charge Dunn with felony assault, which requires a grand jury indictment from a panel of Washington residents. But a jury on Wednesday declined to return to indictment. That's why I said you can't even indict a ham sandwich. Because they wanted to charge this guy with felonious assault on the officer. They wanted to prosecute him for 8 years. 8 years of a prison sentence for throwing a sandwich. And the people of Washington, D.C. are like, no. That seems ridiculous. You're going to throw a guy in jail for throwing a sandwich at a guy with a bulletproof vest. How hilarious that is. But a jury on Wednesday declined to return to the indictment, and implicit suggestion that residents do not identify sufficient probable cause to the back of the charge. The decision is not the first time a D.C. grand jury has opted against signing off on charges, with prosecutors repeatedly having failed to secure a felony indictment against a woman who was arrested on suspicion of assaulting FBI agents during an immigration-related protest last month, the New York Times reported. The jury's decision also signaled mounting backlash among D.C. residents to Trump's surge of federal law enforcement personnel, which critics have planned as unnecessary, a scare tactic, and racially motivated. Just to name a few. So there you go, folks. The infamous D.C. sandwich thrower, the Hoagie Hoedown, didn't get the full punishment that Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Jeanine Pirro sought out against this guy. Remember all the viral videos we showed? Jeanine Pirro going on and saying, we got to stop this guy. We got to stop this guy. You will not attack our loyal and true officers. For a sandwich. I just can't get over that. You're trying to prosecute someone for throwing a sandwich. I'd say the most offensive thing out of the entire case is the fact this guy paid for a Subway sandwich and ruined it. Like, if you're going to throw away food, you might as well give it to a homeless guy. Might as well give it to the homeless as their encampment's being, shunned down by the Trump administration. If you're going to throw away a good sandwich there, I mean, it's not good, Subway, but anyway, the point stands. You're going to throw away food. You might as well give it to someone in need. Oh, but that is just hilarious, folks, that all this time, all this demand, all this amped up, we're going to go after this guy. He's threatening the lives of our National Guards, our custom borders agents, the ICE personnel we depend on to run amok in Washington, D.C. Which, by the way, has that been a success in Washington? Has that been a success anywhere we've seen? I mean, we've seen ICE agents go into Walmarts. We've seen ICE agents go into Home Depots and dragging people, employees that are actually working in these facilities, being dragged out, being sent to CCOT. We've seen that. We've seen what they've done to legal residents for criticizing Israel in op-eds. Has it really done matters of safety that they claim? Has it made things safer knowing that there's henchmen walking around, storming public parks in Los Angeles, going through major metropolitan areas, sweeping by like a Nazi brigade, going door to door to basically harbor Jewish people? I mean, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like a World War II movie where you see the Nazi armies and the factions going around and trying to capture as many Jewish civilians and bring them to the front lines, bring them out of their houses. That's what it seems like to me. And they're trying to do this as a means to stop crime. Meanwhile, there's still a continuance of crime because, of course, in order to have this lackluster ICE patrol, this lackluster National Guard, the constant deployment, the $1 trillion Pentagon budget, which is also incorporated into ICE, in order to have this mass surveillance drone that Donald Trump and Palantir want to put together, they want to put basically America into a surveillance dome. In order to have all that, they still need to have crime. They still want to flood the streets with crime. Hence why this is nothing but a failure. This is all for show. It's all theatrics. It doesn't actually result in preventing crime or decreasing the crime, because why would we do something like that? Why would we ever do something like that? Why would we decrease homelessness when a person working in a homeless charity can make $300,000 a year? Why would we fix a problem that people are profiting and capitalizing off it. Come on. Come on. But we will go after someone who threw a sandwich, a salami sandwich, at one of these officers, who again is in full tactical gear, is wearing bulletproof vesting, has the full tactical camo gear, everything to be on the streets, to be on the front lines. They are the front lines in protection and safety. And they got freaked out by a drunk idiot throwing a sandwich. And if that offends you, if that makes you worry, if any National Guardsman is looking at that and going, oh my God, that could be me. Yeah, I think it's time for a career change then. Because if you're worried that a sandwich is going to pelt you, that you have to indict the person for 8 years, which they dropped the charges because they know how stupid that was, then yeah, I don't think law enforcement is your alley, pal. Even though ICE is desperate for more agents. They're desperate to hire as many people as possible, to kick out as many illegals, to kick out homeless people, to go after everyday Americans. You think it's only for the illegals that they're doing these raids, that they're building up these facilities, the Alligator, Alcatraz, and so on? Do you really think it's only for the illegals? Because what happens when they run out of migrants? What happens if they successfully kicked out everybody that they believe should not be here? Well, they're going to still have to go and search for people, so they go after the homeless. And then when the homeless get trapped into these Alligator Alcatraz facilities and these mass incarceration camps, these concentration camps, if you will, they'll start going after Americans. And then who's going to save you? Who's going to save you? So be warned. Be warned that no administration is there to protect you. No administration is there to do a simple task and have that simple kind of perspective of, oh, we're only going after certain criminals. We're only going after the people that have a criminal record and we're going to deport them. That is never the case. That is never the case. Remember the Patriot Act? Oh, we're only surveilling people that are terrorists. Well, it turns out by Edward Snowden and people within the NSA and whistleblowers that no, it was never the case to look at only terrorists. It was to look at everybody. Everybody gets exposed. Everybody has a target on their back. Every single person. And hence why all of this is nothing to do with security, has nothing to do with actually making you safer in any street possible, but is actually just exaggerating the problem to fulfill, to make you feel like they're doing something. It's all theatrics, but it's also to pursue this high-grade mass surveillance police state that they've always dreamed of having, encapsulating people for over a decade. And now because the Trump administration is connected to Palantir, is connected to Oracle and AI technology, they're now fulfilling that dream. They're now fulfilling their wet dream of having a rogue authoritarian police state that's going to track, surveil, and monitor and abuse as many people within the American borders as possible. And it's selling out elsewhere too. Not just within America, but Canada's looking into it. The UK is looking into it. Let me tell you something, folks. Fascism did not go away after World War II. It rebranded. And now we're getting tastes of a technological fascist society where you, the peasants, become stuck in a feudalist society where the technocratic overlords have full control over you. Because once they have information, once they have the dirt, once they have instant access to everything from your bank account, to your medical records, to your insurance, to your house, to everything, they own you. You become a slave to them. And you think these people, even in the Trump administration, you think they really give a damn about someone like you I mean, they never gave a damn about people when it came to the Epstein files. They're still refusing to release those documents. I thought these guys cared about their constituents. I thought you cared about making America great again. Oh, but making America great again means making them great again. Not you. Not anyone watching this. Not anybody here. But it makes them powerful entities. Something that the Democrats and Republicans can only think of in their wet dreams. And they use Trump to sell you this idea. Using the idea of illegals being the most heinous problem and homeless people in Washington, D.C. So, brace yourself, folks. Hey, here at Kitz Corner, we want to thank you, our viewers and our subscribers that tune into Kitz Corner for the latest dives in trending news, political conspiracies, and the craziest of stories. However, being in this business isn't an easy job. Because we're independent, we can dive into stories that the mainstream outlets are afraid to do so. But unfortunately, that doesn't give us the luxury of big advertising or government subsidies. That's why we reach out to you. You can support Kitz Corner and get some cool new threads in the process. Say what? That's right, check out our merch store, where we have a big selection of t-shirts, mugs, stickers, sweaters, bags, and more. All with interesting designs too, like this True North Strong and Free. So if you want to show off your support, go to our website at kitzcorner.net. That's kitzcorner.net. And click the store link at the top of the screen. Or you can scan the QR code provided on screen to get instant access to our merch store. Your support makes a huge difference at what we do here. So why not wear your support too? So go to kitzcorner.net or scan the QR code on your screen to get to our one-of-a-kind Kitz Corner merchandise store. Thank you.